So yeah, again, like we are going to talk about that later when we're talking about examples, or next session when we're talking about examples. Okay. Now, in case of collisions, so there's a lot of collisions happening in the winter. Like, for example, last year, I remember the snow just fall overnight, and then in the morning, nobody was prepared for it. It was really early too. It was like wasn't in September, the first snow in Calgary? Yeah, right. And then nobody was expecting that. And then it was just a mess in the morning. So I believe that day there were like 200 collisions just in the morning, and then about another 200 in the afternoon. So it's just crazy. If drivers are prepared at that time, it could be much better. But because, for example, people are not changing into their winter tire yet, people are not expecting the snow to fall that early. It's just a mess. So in case of collisions, you gotta know, okay, what can I do to kind of reduce injuries, right? And then you gotta know, okay, how do I prevent these collisions? Like we said before, you wanna keep your distance with the other driver. That's one of the main things. But we're gonna talk about more specifics later on as well. Okay, and then the mental state of other drivers and road users. Everybody's gonna be pretty kind of like fidget on the road in the winter time. Like even for pedestrians, they might be more careful. Usually they are more careful for the pedestrians because they might slip and fall as well. And then at the intersections, they are generally watching out for the drivers. But a lot of times, because of poor visibility, even the pedestrians, they're not even aware that a car might be coming from that direction. So that's one thing. Another thing is for the drivers, they might get more impatient. They might get more, so you might have the possibility of getting into road rage. You might encounter situations like the other drivers just like, you know, showing you a finger or kind of yelling at you if you do a little bit wrong, because everybody is afraid of, you know, losing control, getting into a skid. So you want to kind of cooperate with the other drivers. You want to make life easier for yourself and for other people. So we're going to talk about that in the next session as well. So for example, you want to signal early. You want to let the other drivers know you're going to slow down. And then you always want to slow down gradually. You don't want to like stop really hard just because you can't stop because you have the winter tire. But the other drivers, they might not be able to stop in time behind you. And then they're gonna, yeah. Yeah, it's not, try to avoid collisions at the best as you can. But yeah, be aware of the mental state of the other drivers. Be aware of the visibility, be aware of the road condition, traffic condition, and then be aware of the drivers around you. Okay, so these are where the risks in the winter driving or in the winter condition really lies. It's a little bit different than the summer, because summer times you might come from like speeding. It might come from, for example, if you're going out at night, night driving. For example, if you are like you're rushing through the intersection, you're distracted. But in the winter time, drivers tend to stay pretty focused, but all of these factors are kind of out of the driver's control. So you need to kind of respond to them, okay? All right, now let's move on. So what can you do? So now we know the risks, right? So we're gonna talk about some general things. We're gonna stay at home if the weather is just super bad. There are some times when I'm and then I just wish that I'm not on the road at that time. Like even for me, I've been driving in Calgary for how many years? 10 years, about 10 years, more than 10 years. And I drove in the winter time as well. I drove in the winter almost every winter, drive in the summer as well. But even for that, like with all the knowledge that I have, with all the experience that I have, I still don't think that I can manage some situations properly. Like there are always something that would make me think, okay, if this actually happened, I will be screwed. Like I will be done. So if it's really that situation when you don't have, you're not comfortable going out, or you just want to avoid that risk altogether, you can just stay home, right? Stay home. and then equip the car. So make sure your car is in a good condition to drive in the wintertime. And then you gotta equip your knowledge. So like know the risk, know how to deal with it, and then adjust your driving style. So some specific technical actions that you can utilize when you're driving, okay? So for extreme weather, always check the forecast before you go out. 660 News is a very, very good source. They actually have like real-time traffic update at the moment. So you can go to the website or you can turn on the radio in your car. They're very good at that. So I think they actually have like the monitor cameras all over the city. They have access to that, and then they can monitor the traffic condition. They can monitor the weather condition. No, like for me, I usually like, you know, look out of the window, that's for sure. And then kind of just go onto the website and check, okay? Check like, is it gonna snow tonight? Is it gonna snow? Did it snow overnight? All of these stuff, okay? And then Weather Network is very good. It's also very good. Now the thing is, sometimes even though it's not snowing, but be aware that if the temperature drops below 0 degrees, anything like that has melted the day before, like during the day in the afternoon, say it gets a little bit warmer, under 0 degree, it's gonna freeze. So it might actually have like a layer of ice on the road if the road is not cleaned properly. So usually in the residential area, not so much on the main road because there's a lot of cars driving on that road, but in the residential area, be aware of that. Sometimes it's not gonna be like snowy snow, it's gonna be like freezing rain. So all of these can potentially lead to slippery road, icy road. Okay, and also Alberta Transportation's website, you can get a lot of information from them as well. Even for like what we're talking about for these sessions, like if you want some winter driving tips, you can go ahead and search for it. They have a lot of details as well. Another thing is, yeah, you can go for like winter training courses and prepare yourself for that. But yeah, be aware of the weather condition before you get out. For the maintenance and the equipment, okay. So I don't know you guys how. Can I just ask you guys? Do you do regular maintenance on your car? Do you do it yourself? Like, have you ever? Do you know what to do for regular maintenance?
Yeah.
Does anybody want to share? Nobody's doing any maintenance ever.
I just follow the what you call that, like in the car, like it will tell you that the message will come out and tell you that you're due for the next oil change.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So oil change is one.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other maintenance that you know that you gotta do? Sorry, I think somebody.
Winter tire?
Yeah, winter tire. Okay.
Your windshield washer?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, on top of the winter kind of equipment or the winter maintenance, like the regular maintenance would also include like change your tire seasonally. So it's not just from all season tire to winter tire. It's also you want to know about the tire treads. So for example, you got a winter tire 2 years ago, right? And then you have been using that winter tire for 6 months because Calgary's winter is just so long. And then you're driving, for example, you're driving to Banff for some like skiing, and then you're driving to like Sun Valley for another like trip for winter camping. So you might be driving a lot in the winter time, and then that tire can wear out. So it's not just that, okay, I have a set of winter tire and then I just put it on my car before the snow falls and then I'll be set. So you also want to be aware that you want to change your tire regularly. So depending on how long you're driving, it may be like 2-3 years. It might be even as short as 1 year. So for example, the driving school's car, they usually you gotta be aware to check the tire treads. Okay. So change your tire regularly. Okay, not just winter tire, but also all season tire. And also make sure your battery is good. You're not only changing the engine oil, but sometimes your brake fluid, sometimes your coolant, all of these little things. If you're like when you're going for the regular maintenance, you can always do the inspection, ask your mechanics to do those inspections. Not just for winter time, again, you want to do it regularly, okay? You don't have to do it so often, like other than the engine oil, but know that the car needs the maintenance. And then you always want the car to be in its ideal condition, especially for winter, because there's so little that the drivers can do in some situations. So you're really relying on the cars to help you, okay? So for winter especially, like some of you had said, you want to have the washer fluid, okay? You make sure the washer fluid is full, because if you're driving in the winter time and you're gonna, like the road is really wet, it's kind of like slushy, and then it's muddy. So if you're driving behind other cars in the traffic, their mud is gonna splash onto your windshield, and then your windshield is gonna get really dirty pretty soon, really quickly. So you always want to have that washer fluid filled up so that you can use it whenever you want. Whenever you have those engine warning, or like whenever you have those warning lights on your dashboard, that is when you need to be filling it up, okay? Don't wait until it's completely empty. And then also mirrors. You want to keep your mirrors clean as well, because if you're just looking straight forward, or if you just rely on the inside rear mirror, sometimes you might miss something in your blind spot. You might miss something that is coming at you pretty quickly, something that's close to you in the next lane. So make sure your mirrors are clean as well. So clean them before you kind of go onto the road. Don't start driving and then realize, oh, I can't see anything, okay? Headlight, you also want to make sure that nothing's really blocking your headlight. So it needs to be working for sure. And then it also needs to clean kind of the headlight, especially when you are cleaning the snow off of your car. Don't forget the headlight, and don't forget the tail light as well, because the drivers behind you, they need your tail light, the signal lights at the back, to know how to react accordingly, okay? Brake, make sure your brake is in a good condition. So brake, the components is, one of the main components is the brake pad, okay? So if you are having a lot of fun in the summertime and then you're driving fast and you're braking, or you have been driving this car for a while and then never checked the brake pad, you might need to switch it out. It doesn't really feel that it's wear out until it's really bad. So be careful, and then ask your kind of mechanic when you're bringing it in, especially when you're bringing it in for to change your winter tire. It's a good idea to check the brake, okay? Alternator, or like we call it the battery. Has any of you experienced like when you're going out in the winter time and then you realize your car doesn't start up? Like you're trying to turn on the engine, but it makes this weird sound, but it never started up. Do you ever have that situation?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah, so a lot of the time that is just because it's your battery. Your battery either freezed or is too old to kind of like tolerate that temperature, or your antifreeze is gone. There's a lot of possibilities, but for the alternator, you really want to make sure that it is in a good condition, okay? So if you need to, you can always buy new battery from Canadian Tire, or I think if you have the membership with AMA, they can bring the battery here to your car and change it for you, okay?
You know about can I ask a question about the battery?
Yeah, go ahead.
We only know that there's a problem with the battery when the car doesn't start, right? The car died, then you know there's a problem with the battery.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's any way of knowing it beforehand, like that the battery is low or whatever.
It's very hard to tell. And then it really depends on the battery itself as well. But usually the battery should last like 5 years, no problem, right? But like when you are going for the maintenance, like oil change, or when you're changing your tire, the mechanic they can test the battery. They know if the battery is full or not. They know if they need to do something about that. So if they say it's okay, then you can go ahead and trust them. But still, like if you're really, really not sure, like if you really wanna like be safe and just avoid that risk, you can always buy like a spare battery, like put it in your car, so that if something happens, you can just change it up. And then for the winter time, if you have the booster cable, like it's not just the battery, like even if it's just a small problem, as long as it's not like completely frozen, or as long as like it's just gone, it's just died, then you can usually use the booster cable to fix it. So if it's just a battery problem, it's not a huge problem. Okay, we do need to talk about like, well, actually I'll share a story. Okay, last year my battery did die, so I couldn't start up the car. We tried the booster cable. So when you use the booster cable, basically you want to have another car, and then you turn off the engine, you put the booster cable on, and then you turn on the engine, and then you let it run for a bit. Okay, so you do need, like, the point of letting it run, one is to kind of warm up the battery. Another one, if the battery is like running low, you can actually charge it just for a bit. So let it run for a bit and then try to start up the car. But when we are starting up the car, we are also kind of pressing down the gas pedal. So even for that booster cable, like with that booster cable, we tried many, many times, and then we are using the block heater overnight as well. It still wouldn't start up. So eventually we called the AMA, and then what the guy said is that we flooded the engine because we were stepping on the gas pedal. But how he fixed it, he just floored the gas pedal. So he stepped it all the way down when it's turning on the engine. So like when he did turn on the engine, the whole, like the car just filled with the gasoline smell. But then it did turn on, and after it ran for a bit, it was okay. So just know that, like, if you're not sure about how to do you don't know how to boost the car, there's a lot of information online as well. And then when we're talking about this in the next session, we will actually go through all of these details as well. Okay. So,
I think AMA has a booster service too, right?
Yeah, AMA comes. So if you have like just the basic AMA membership, you are allowed 5 calls, and then they include those roadside assistance, including like even tire change and then battery boost, and then
I think key, you like open the door kind of thing.
Yeah. If you lock your key somewhere, and then you also have towing service. So like if you really can't do anything, then you can tow the car to the mechanics and let them fix it, right? So yeah, and what else? Okay, let's move on. Any other questions? Okay. So air conditioning is also very important. If your air conditioning doesn't work in the wintertime, it's just gonna be it's just gonna be minus 40 degrees, and you're in this like you're basically staying in the fridge the whole time. So it's a good idea to make sure your air conditioning is not broken. Fix it before the temperature drops too much. Okay. So other than all of these maintenance on the car, like the mechanical stuff, and also you want to have the emergency supply in the car. So this is the stuff you want to bring into the car. Okay. We're going to talk about them just in the next slides. Okay. And then also the tools. So for the tools, okay, remember when we're talking about the risks in the winter, the road condition, the road surface, lots of snow. So one of the things that could happen is that you can get stuck somewhere in the pile. So for example, a lot of drivers, when they're turning in the summertime, you're gonna turn along the curb, right? And then you're pretty tight with the curb, and especially if someone doesn't want to slow down, they want to cut corner, and then they're pretty close to the curb. But in the winter time, usually how the snow truck, they clean the road is they clean the middle, and then they just throw the snow to the side of the road, right? So by the curb, there's like a huge snow pile. So when you are turning, you don't want to turn onto the snow. This is one of the very common questions students ask me for the road test as well, because for the road test, you are supposed to turn into the curb lane, okay, unless there is an obstacle in the curb lane. So for example, like a parked car, then you can turn into the next lane. In the winter time, even if you're doing a road test, that snow pile or like even just a layer of snow is also considered as obstacle, because if the snow gets a little bit thick and it's really fresh on the top, but they're really like solid at the bottom, it's very easy for you to get stuck in there, okay? So it's not just that your whole car is stuck, it's just that because you're, like if you don't have a full wheel drive, if you only have the front wheel drive, the whole car is moving because the front wheel is having the traction with the road surface, so it's bringing the car forward. But when your front wheels are not touching the road surface at all, it's touching the snow, you have less traction. So what's gonna happen is like the front tire is gonna spin and then it doesn't bring the car to anywhere. Even if only like one tire, like it's on the actual wheel, it's gonna help. But there is still a possibility, like you're trying to wiggle around and then your whole front tire goes into the snow. So yeah, just know that if you're turning or if you see like a layer of snow on the ground, just try to go into a more clean, a cleaner road surface to not go onto the snow pile, okay? But if you do get stuck, okay, so this is where the traction mat or the salt or cat litter will come in, okay? So a lot of people, they have shovels at the car, they can shovel the snow, but sometimes you have that layer underneath the car, it's still hard. It's not that the car is not moving forward because it's getting stopped by the snow, it's because it doesn't have any traction for the tire to grab the floor and bring the car forward. So if you have the traction mat, which is that picture that I'm showing, this one, you can put it underneath the tire so that when you put the gas pedal and the car starts turning a bit, it's gonna go on that, and then now it has traction, then it's gonna bring the car forward. Okay, so traction mat is very useful. You can get it at Canadian Tire. I think there's one that's around $40. And then they're like different kinds. Okay, so you can get that for example, I know someone who goes outbound into the town in the rural area, works on those communication towers all the time. So what they do is they have those chains on the tire. So that's another thing. If you want to go that hardcore, it's okay. So you can just like put the chain on the tire the whole time, or you can just bring this traction mat, like put it in the trunk so that if you need it, if you need it, you have it, okay? You're not gonna go through all those trouble trying to like push the car and shovel the snow and everything. This is gonna make things a lot easier, okay? Now, if you don't wanna buy the traction mat, you can also just put like, just get a bag of salt or like a bag of cat litter. These are also for the traction. So it's to increase the traction on the snow surface so that your tire has something to grab onto, okay? So salt can kind of melt the snow a little bit, but it's more for like that surface, you know, that what do you call it? That uneven surface to provide a little bit more traction for the cat litter too, because the cat litter, get the clumping ones, if they get wet, it will get a little bit harder. And again, it creates a harder surface that has traction for your tire to grab onto. Okay, now if you get stalled, for example, like you are going into Banff, right? You're going onto a skiing trip with your friends or your family, or you just want to take some beautiful, beautiful snow scene pictures. But when you're driving in the mountain, you got into a skid, Okay, so you're spinning out of the road, and then eventually you end up on the side of the road, and you cannot get the car out. You call AMA, and AMA is saying you have to wait like 3 hours before we can get there. So for that 3 hours, if your car, for example, is damaged somehow, and then you don't have the air conditioning, you don't have the electricity, it's very important for you to keep yourself warm, okay? Now, so we're gonna start talking about the worst case scenario, okay? So if you don't have anything, like the car is not working at all, and then you're just stranded, like you're outside with your family, you need to find some way to keep yourself warm. So you can kind of walk around the car, you can kind of do some jumping while you're waiting, take some breaks in the middle. So make sure you don't freeze to, you know, you don't freeze, you don't pass out because of the low temperature. Okay. And if you know that you're going onto these trips often, that you're going out of the city, and then the help may take longer to get there, it is always a good idea to bring some jackets and stuff, to bring some jackets and extra clothing. Okay. Now, if you are not kind of out of the city and then you're still kind of able to get yourself out, there are some things that be able to help you. So if you have shovel, you can kind of like dig your car out of the snow. If you have a tow chain, so if you have another driver that's passing by, sometimes they are able to just grab you out. They can pull you out with the tow chain. There was one time actually last year when I was coming home in the complex that I'm living at, there is this car, he's just stuck. He went on to, so what happened is that there is a rock by the entrance. There are 2 rocks by the entrance of the parking lot. So the car got into a skid, actually ended up on the rock. So his front tire is completely lifted, like it's in the air. So it's not touching anything. There's nothing that this driver can do. And then when I was there were already some people trying to help him. They're trying to push the car down, but they really need somebody to kind of pull the car, to like use another car to pull the car off of the rock onto the floor. But nobody had any tow chain. And then somebody found this thick rope, tried to tie it to the bumper, and eventually they managed to get this car off. But if there is a tow chain in your car, just sitting there lying around in case something like this happen, you can just use it right away. You don't have to stay outside for like 1 or 2 hours figuring something out. Okay. Booster cable, like we said before, if your battery died, then it's always a good idea to have this booster cable on. Or like if you're going into if you spin out of the road and then the car shut down, you couldn't turn it on again, it is a good idea to have that booster cable in your car, just so that you have that option. If somebody passed by, they might be able to get your car started and actually get you out of the snow. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The tow chain, like
Yes.
this is the tow chain, right?
The one in the middle.
Yeah, the one in the middle is the tow chain.
Yeah.
So if this is being used, I would gather that the hook part of this hooks onto some under part of the car, right? This one?
Yeah. So like if you are, usually you'll be able to see it pretty easily. So like if you look under the bumper, so it's not, you don't want to hook it onto your bumper because your bumper is pretty, what is that word? It's pretty crisp.
Yeah, because the whole bumper will come off, right? If you were to...
Yeah, you don't want to hook it onto the bumper. There is a, what do you call it? In Chinese, 一个大梁, 一个钢梁. There is like a metal rod, like under the bottom frame of the car, you hook it on there. And some cars, they even have that little hole for you to hook it on.
Is that at the bottom front or bottom back?
Bottom front and bottom back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we should be able to see a hook there somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, let me check if I can find it. Like, should I? Okay, I'm gonna put Firefox. Let me share my screen. Where's my screen? Okay. Where do I? Where? So I just basically searched. Oh, am I sharing? What am I sharing now?
Yeah, you're sharing your Google images.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. So you can see this is at the back. This car has this on the metal part. Make sure you're looking on the metal part. Some cars have this.
Oh yeah, that one.
This is very convenient. It's pretty straightforward. It's actually
Yeah.
just on the side of the car.
You can actually see it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you don't have these ones, like if you look underneath the car, like this is probably full, but this is not really like a sedan. But like if you can see here where this car is towed, like see it's kind of hooked up to the bottom.
Yeah.
On the bumper itself. So you're looking for something on the bottom, something metal inside.
Something metal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think like if you have something like this, it might also work. But like if you go to the manual of the car, because every model is different, if you go to the manual of the car, it will actually tell you where the towing locations are, like where the point are.
Okay.
Similarly, if you're changing your tire by yourself, the tires by yourself, it tells you where you should put the jack under, like
Okay.
point. So it has a lot of information in your manual if you're not sure. So yeah, this is that. Okay, but really good question. Like I didn't think to include in the slide. But yeah, this is very important. If you hook it to your printer, it will actually it will break it. So it's not going to provide enough, like it's not sturdy enough for you to actually tow the car. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have a second device that's open on Zoom, Ming?
Second device?
Yes, do you have a second device that's open on Zoom? Because there's a little bit of echo coming from your area.
Let me try to put my earphone on actually. Give me a sec.
Yeah, usually that happens when there's two devices opened on Zoom.
Yes, we can try first to mute everyone.
Yeah, the muting doesn't affect the echo. Echo usually happens when somebody has two devices open.
Yeah, or somebody is using the speaker too, like somebody who's not muted.
Some attendees.
They're using the speaker. And yeah, and then I might hear it back and then you play it back.
Okay.
I'll try to do my earphone. I don't know if the audio will still work. Let's see.
We'll see.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. This is very, very good information.
Yeah, no worries. I'm actually reaching to the end. I didn't think that would run. Like I was kind of preparing for an hour, but we're gonna move on to the next ones. Okay. Yeah. So also we talked about the tow chain and booster cable and warning lights. Yeah. So if you are stranded, if it's in the winter and it's snowing, or there's like a little bit of fog, or if you're driving outside on the highway, when the cars or when the road wind is blowing or when someone passes by, there's gonna be yeah, somebody's using their speaker.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's where my echo is coming from.
yeah.
Do you mind if I ask everyone to kind of mute themselves until you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm muting everyone.
Okay, thank you, May.
So if you have a question, just raise your hand and I will unmute you.
Yeah. Okay, so where am I talking about? Oh yeah. So when the wind is blowing, they're gonna blow the snow kind of up into the air, and then it creates a little bit foggy situation for the other cars to see you. So when you cannot see somebody else, you are also kind of you're also low visible. You're not in a very visible situation, like you're not visible to the other drivers as well. So you need to consider that, especially if you're stopped by the side of the road, or like if your car just broke down in the middle of the road. You want to make sure that the other drivers can see that you're stopping there, and be able to stop or go around without crashing into you. So it is always a good idea to have those like reflective triangles in your car, so that when you have the emergency situation like this, when you're stalled, then you can put that triangle at least 150 meters behind you so that the drivers can see and have some distance to stop or go around, okay? And if you're the one who's going like out of the car and then walk around trying to keep yourself warm, make sure you're wearing some reflective material, so that the other drivers can see you more easily, okay? But yeah, the better way is always to try to avoid getting into this kind of situation by making sure that your car is in a very good condition beforehand. Like for example, right now it's going into October, right? I was saying the next couple of weeks, you should start like preparing for those maintenance and stuff already, okay? Like check for winter tires. If the other one is worn out, you can compare the prices, okay? Emergency kit. So other than the tools, there are some things that will help you in a really critical situation. So you want to keep yourself warm by having extra clothing. You always want to have some food to provide energy for yourself. So a very good thing to have in your snack or in your food bag is chocolate. It's very good because it will provide the energy, it will provide the sugar. It'll kind of keep you warm as well. But any like non-perishable food, things that won't get frozen easily. So chocolate, even if it's frozen, you can still eat it. So have that emergency food bag in your car as well. If you know that you're traveling out of the city, traveling to somewhere a little isolated, right? Where there's not many traffic, not many passerby. So yeah, that is a good choice. Or you can just buy those like food bag from the market, okay, from the grocery, or like online. If you go Amazon, I think there are some like emergency food bags. And so glove is very important as well, especially if you want to attempt to like try, for example, booster cable. If you want to kind of shovel the snow, dig your car out, gloves is very, very important. You don't want to just like freeze your hand and then actually damage your skin. It's going to get pretty bad. Blankets also, it's a good idea to have it in your car, just to keep yourself warm as well. Keep yourself visible. So like I said, you have those triangle reflective signs behind you to make sure the other drivers can see you and go around you so they don't crash into you. Another thing is like if you're waiting for example, for roadside assistant, if you're waiting for a rescue team, you want to make sure that they can find you easily, or you can find your own way in and out of the car. So flashlight is a very good idea to keep it in your car. Reflective jackets, okay, so that the other people can see you, like you yourself. And then also you can have a whistle. So this is mainly for like if you're actually stranded out somewhere in the mountain, right? And then you're waiting for a rescue team, so that people can actually hear. Or you can just blow it from time to time. If there's someone around, they know that someone needs help. So this is for that. And emergency flares as well. So if you just use your headlight or if you just use your flashlight, if it's snowing or if there's heavy fog, it can only get so far. But the emergency flares are bright enough for people to see it in a really far distance. So like if you really want to prepare yourself for that kind of situation, like again, if you know you're going on to those trips, it's a good idea to have them, okay? First aid is always a good idea. It doesn't matter if it's you're just driving in the wintertime or like not in the wintertime, in the summertime. Just have like a little box with Band-Aid, with some gauze, with some like alcohol. Scissors is a good idea to have inside as well. So if you buy those like first aid kit, the smaller ones, it's good enough. Or Band-Aids, right? Extra fluid, extra washer fluid, and antifreeze. Remember we said that if you want to keep your windshield clean, right? And then you always want to fill it up before it actually runs all the way to the bottom. Even if it's full, it is still a good idea to just have like an extra, liter at the back. Antifreeze as well, have an extra bottle at the back, just in case, okay? Especially like right, if you go out and buy those washer fluid, there's at the gas station, there are deals usually, but like buy 2 for $10 or something like that. You save a little bit of money as well. So I usually keep one in our house, like by the stairs in the garage, and then there's one in the car, and then the tank should be full. There was actually one time we did run out the washer fluid because that warning light is not working. So we're just driving down Deerfoot, and then all of a sudden, I use the washer fluid a lot to try to keep the windshield clean, right? And then the next time I press the windshield, the washer fluid, try to wash the windshield, it just nothing came out. So it was like, yeah, I never want that to happen ever again, because the mud, like all those dirty water on your windshield is actually gonna just shut your vision completely. Like it's very, very hard for you to see. And especially if you're driving in the winter time and then you're driving on Deerfoot, it's like, so we had to park on the side. So we actually need to park in the emergency lane with our forward flasher on and everything. And then we used the snow. So we used the snow to kind of clean the windshield a little bit. So you use the snow, put it on like a piece of paper and then kind of wiped it. And then just like try to drive away from the cars so that they're not splashing onto our windshield. But even that is still pretty hard. We will go to the next gas station, and just got a windshield, like the washer fluid, put it in, and then drove home. So you don't want that to happen. Similarly for the fuel tank as well. Like if you see those warning lights on the fuel tank, low fuel, you don't want to wait until like in the end until you get stuck. Okay. So
would the snow brush come under this list, or it comes under a different?
Oh yeah, I have the ice scraper on the top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot to talk about that. So yeah, like the snow brush, of course, is a good idea. Like if you're driving your car, unless you're parked in the garage all the time, or even if you're parked in the garage, it is still a very good idea to keep it in your car, okay? And then it's useful, usually those brush has like brush on one side and then the scraper on the other side. Or you can get the scraper by itself. Some ones that are very good, they're very hard. Or if you see like that end is kind of worn out, it's not gonna work that well. So it's a good idea to have like a separate one, okay? Now I'm done with the slide, but I can actually show you guys a little bit more in detail. So I'm gonna go back to this one. Okay, so let's talk about these dashboard warning lights. and see how many of these you know. Okay, let's find. Yeah, this one is pretty good.
Hello?
How do I view image?
Yeah,
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. There are some very common ones you will see. Okay. Especially in the winter time. So let's go through them. Does anybody know what? Where is that? Oh, does anybody know what 21 is? Number 21 here.
Number 21.
Yes.
Hmm.
Your
I have
tire
not seen.
pressure?
What? Say again.
The tire pressure?
Yes. Yes, that's the
Oh.
tire pressure.
I didn't know that.
Exactly. So even if your tire is pretty in a pretty good condition, but say like in the winter time and it's super cold outside, and then your tire kind of like because of the temperature change is not fitting with the rim perfectly. So it's very possible for the tire to have a little bit of leak. So if you go into the car in the morning and then you turn on your engine, everything's going well, but you see this warning light on your dashboard, it means that one of your tire pressure is low, or like
Oh,
a couple
okay.
of your tire pressure is low. And then you want to get off the car and check how low it is. Because sometimes it's completely flat. Like say if you like you drove over a curb that's covered by snow, and then there's like a sharp edge on the curb. So you can actually damage your tire without knowing it that much. So, and then you come back home, you park overnight, and then with the pressure and everything, just like the air just completely gone, it could happen. So it's very, very useful to know what this light is, okay?
Mhm.
If you see this light, make sure you're checking your tire pressure. And then if you can still drive, so like it's not that visible, like it still looks okay, then you can go to a gas station, use the pump, and just pump the air into the tire. Okay.
Is that symbol the same on all cars, no matter what your make or model is?
Yeah,
Okay.
these signs are very universal. It might look
Okay.
tiny different in those small details, but it's like you can see the tire treads under, right? And then you can see it's kind of like sinking down. Yeah, that's the tire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the tire pressure. Another one like this one, number 4 or number 61, or like this one, anything that looks like this. What is this?
4, 61,
Fluid.
and
The
64.
fluid. The fluid.
Yes, the washer fluid. Okay, so if you see like that fan looking shape, that always means windshield. That always means the front windshield. Okay, so like if you see this symbol, it's probably like your washer fluid is running low. You always need to like this is when you need to fill it up. Okay, and another one, you don't see it that looks something like this. No, that looks something like this. Number 58. Okay,
Oh,
so
58.
this symbol, you don't usually see it on the dashboard, but you have to find it by where you control the air conditioning. Okay, so you might not realize that you're using this much. If you're in the winter time, do you realize sometimes your like window just fogs up?
Mhm.
Because it's warm inside and it's cold outside, right? And then you sit in the car and then eventually the window just fogs up. And then you try to use the wiper, it doesn't wipe the fog away. It's inside, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to use like the towel and then try to clean it yourself. All you need to do is blow some air onto the windshield so that it defrosts the front windshield. So you need to find this symbol by where the air conditioning is, okay? Another one that's very similar to this is the square one, but you also have those wiggly lines in the middle, and that's for the back window. Okay, so if the back windows fogs up, you press that button. Oh, it's number 63 right here on the right. Okay, so this is for the back, this is for the front. if you're going for the road test in the wintertime, the examiner is very likely to ask you, how do you defrost the front windshield? How do you defrost the back window? They're gonna they're probably gonna ask you that question if they don't see it's turned on already, okay? Or like if it's already turned on, they might still ask you, just to make sure that you know how to deal with these, okay? So number 58 and number 63, yeah. So these ones, it's pretty important. Make sure you can see still, right? What else? A common one that you see in the winter. This one, number 32. What is this?
Battery.
Yeah, correct.
Battery.
Yeah, it's the battery. This one is the battery. So if you have ever, like if you never noticed, the next time you go into the car, like even right now, you turn the car. So if you don't have those push start, or yeah, if you have the push start, without pressing down on the brake, you push that button, and then the electricity, like the car starts running, right? But the engine's not on yet. Like you have the air conditioning, you can use the window, you can adjust your seat. Like the electricity is connected, but then the car is not actually running. At that point, you will see, okay, all the light is gonna come on for a second, and then they're gonna disappear with only 3 red lights left on the dashboard. One of it is this one, so the alternator. Another one is the engine pressure. No, engine oil pressure light. So this one is for the engine oil to get pumped into the engine, right? So if if this comes on when you're driving, it's really bad. Same as this one. And then there's another light. Where is that? I don't see it here.
Before you go on to the other one, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
The number 21, okay?
Number 21, yes.
Actually, when I drive, once in a while it's on. The reason is I have winter tire. Because of the COVID-19, I didn't bother to change the summertime because we don't go out that much, right?
Yeah.
So when I driving, my husband sometimes it's flashing. So would that be okay? Because my husband said that because it's winter time, that's why when you drive in summertime, the pressure is different, right?
Yeah, so for the winter tire, it is generally softer than the all-season tire. But if you see this light on while you're driving, and it is flashing, that means, okay, the sensor is sensing, oh, the pressure is good now, and then the pressure is not good now. But if it's just fluctuating by that threshold, that means it's not an issue. Like you can still drive with it, no problem.
It's not dangerous, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not dangerous, but know that like if you're driving with the winter tire in the summertime and it gets a little bit too soft, you might. It's not that you won't be able to stop or anything, but it's just it wears the tire out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
because now winter is coming, so that's good.
Yeah, you can start driving now. Yeah. But like if you see, usually when you see this light on, like it's not gonna be like, and then it's not that visible. Like it doesn't seem any different than a normal tire. Like you can still drive with it, but try to like pump it up when you can. And then if you check, I don't even know what it's called. So if you open the driver's door, and on the frame of the car, there is usually a sticker that has all the specifications of the car. So it includes how much PSI is your tire supposed to be at. May, do you know what it's called? Do you know how I can search for an image for that?
No, the information is usually on the door.
Yeah, information card.
Yeah.
Card.
嗰度會好殘。
有冇咁長啊？
No, that's not what I'm like. If you, oh yeah, something like this. No, it's not.
咪上呢個咩啊
講座
？computer
Like if you open the driver's door, and then like if you close the door, you won't be able to see it. But if you open the driver's door, it's like right beside your seat on the metal frame, there is a sticker.
Yeah.
It says how many psi you're supposed to have. What is that even called?
Isn't that just called like tire information?
Okay, sure. Let's search that. Tire information.
But that's okay, as long as you said that it's okay to keep on driving for short distance, that should be okay. Don't worry.
Yeah. It won't cause a big issue.
Yeah. See this yellow sticker here? Usually it is
Yeah.
like that. You get the sticker there on the door. Tire and
Yeah.
loading information.
Yeah.
I know information.
So you're looking for like this. It says front, and then it says it's 250 kPa and 36 psi. Okay. And then like, so you're supposed to have like this much pressure. This, like if you have those little, what do you call it? Tire pressure gauge. Yeah, if you have like one of these little things, like when you're pumping up the tire, you put it into like the air hole, and then it'll pop at the bottom, and then it will show you how much pressure is there, like this. So you're reading this number here.
Very useful thing to have in the car.
Yeah, it's very useful to have it in the car. So use that card, check the information, or you can check the manual, right? If you always put that manual in your glove box, and then you have that little thingy, and then you can measure it, right? And yeah, like this, it's just popping out at the bottom here. Okay. What else? Oh,
Does anybody have any other questions on what you have listened to so far? No? Oh, okay. I'm going to unmute everybody now.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Everybody's unmuted.
yeah, as I said before, like if you have this one and this one, when you just push the start button once without pressing on the brake, without turning on the engine, they should be on. But after you turn it on, they should be gone. So if you are driving, like if your engine is on, or when you're driving, you see any light that is red, that is very serious. Okay. Anything that's red, you need to fix it right away or you stop driving. So for example, like if the door is open, it's going to be red. You gotta close your door right away. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, you gotta wear it right away. So similarly for this alternator and this engine pressure or engine oil pressure light. So if you are trying to start up the car, there's no light, nothing whatsoever, it's probably the alternator is off. Or when you're trying to turn on the engine and these lights are flashing, then it's probably the alternator as well. I know from someone who run empty on their fuel tank, before they stop, these lights are flashing as well. Okay, so this is the alternator, this is the engine oil pressure light. Okay, so this means that the oil is not pumping into the engine. It might actually damage the engine over time. That's why you gotta turn the engine off if this is on. Okay, and for the alternator, the car will just stop anyway. Another thing is what else? This 62, number 62. Do people recognize this one?
That's the engine, is it?
Yeah, and then as you can see, this light is not red. So a lot of the cars, if you have those,
I know. Yeah.
okay, if you have those digital menu, yeah, should I mute people? Can I mute? Oh, you gotta mute it. No.
Yeah, I have to mute them manually.
Okay.
Okay, you go ahead. I'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. So if you have those digital menu, it will say service engine soon. Okay, it will say that. But for some cars, especially if you're driving older model, it won't say service engine, but you'll have this symbol on your car. So if you see this symbol, it means that you gotta go like do your oil change and stuff. Okay. That's this one, number 60. You usually see it in green. So this one is for like the slippery, like the stability control. Okay. So when the stability control of the car is on, like say if you're driving on a slippery road, it will actually flash. So it will tell you, okay, you are driving on a slippery road, and then you should be a little bit more careful. Okay. Another one that I might want to talk about is high beam. This one.
Yeah.
So a lot of people may not pay attention to it. A lot of people don't even know how to turn on the high beam. So it's a good idea to know how to turn on the high beam. In the winter time, if it's snowing or like in a heavy fog, you do not want to use your high beam. You actually want to use low beam, or you want to use the like fog light. So this is fog light. If you have those squiggly lines, it's fog light. And this is the high beam. So if you use high beam when it's snowing really heavy or it's heavy fog, the light is not going to shine through. It's just going to get reflected back. So it's actually going to make the situation worse. So if you're driving in the winter and then you have low visibility because of the snow and the fog, make sure this is not on. Because if you feel like you can't see anything, it might be because of the light is too bright. So this is the only blue light on the dashboard. And then it's pretty universal for all the cars to have this as a blue light. So just it's usually behind, like, you know, where you signal left and right, it's usually on that handle. Like if you pull it towards yourself, towards the steering wheel, not towards the dashboard, it will turn it off usually. But if you're not sure, before you go onto a trip, check your manual so that you know how to do it, or ask your friends, ask around. Okay.
We probably need to stop it here.
Yeah.
So that you can get a coffee break
before
before the next session starts. Any last question?
I want to know when to use the 44.
44.
44.
1, 2, 3, 44.
The green, yeah.
Yeah, 44. Usually you don't have this light on the dashboard, like you won't see this, but you will usually see this when you are turning on the headlight, like the headlight control. So.
Oh, that's the headlight control.
Yeah, so if you have. Yeah, so you might be having this on this handle behind the this one, right? Behind the steering wheel. So you want to know that, say if this line is pointing straight out, that means this is the actual headlight. Okay.
Okay.
This is the headlight in general. So usually if you just turn this, like this is auto right now, right? And then if you like kind of like turn it that way, and then it goes to this gear, it means your headlight is on. But whether it is a low beam or a high beam, you need to check like that position. So if this handle is already pushed inward towards the dashboard, that means your head beam is on, and then you should see this blue light on your dashboard. That means you're high beam. But if you don't see this light on, and then you see, it doesn't have it here. Yeah, and then you see this one, like you see this symbol right here, like in the one above
Yeah.
auto, it's usually a little green light as well. You see
Oh.
this one on the dashboard, and then you're on this gear, then that means your low beam is on. But if you turn this thingy up to this gear, this is a daytime running light. So this symbol is a daytime running light.
Oh, okay.
It is not the headlight. It's just like two tiny lights on the side of the headlight. So it's basically useless. Like you use it at daytime, okay, and then it's useless at night. So at night you always want to use low beam. So either this one or on auto. Okay. So auto, if it gets too dark, it will just turn the low beam on. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, what do you do when if it's very foggy?
Yeah.
And you want to turn the light at the back, the light at the back, want to turn it on so that the people
Can
behind you can see you. What do you have to do? What do I have to do?
As long as your headlight is on, your tail light is on.
Which
So-
one is the headlight?
This one. This
Oh.
symbol right here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or like this is the fog light, right? You can turn on the fog light.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. But then like back to your question in the beginning, I forgot to answer, sorry. So number
Oh.
44, you see this line is pointing down. That just means this is the low beam.
Oh, okay.
Pointing straight up is the high beam.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes sense because it's
Yeah.
pointing down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like sometimes you'll have it like this, and then you have the fog light in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's as long as you know what they look like, the symbols look like, then you're good. Oh, the echo is killing.
Thank you so much, Ming. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming and listening.
Yeah, thank you. That was such good information. I'm looking forward to part 2.
Nice.
Yeah,
We're
part two
gonna
is
have
where
fun
we learn
next.
all the skills of stopping and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna get pretty technical. So
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please feel free to stay back. The Chinese session will start soon. Ming, you want to go grab a coffee, run to the washroom, whatever? We will
I'm
start in
actually
about-
okay. I can take a short break, just water and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do whatever you want to do. Let's take a short break.
Yeah, we will start in about 2 minutes.
Mhm.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
If your car is already set up everything automatic, so you don't have to switch it on all the time, right? So when it's raining, they automatically the windshield is popping up and moving. So
Yeah.
actually, you don't really need to know to do much, right? If
Yeah.
they are okay.
Unless it stops working, right?
Yes. It's a good idea though, like to know how to adjust these controls. It's actually not that hard. Like for example, for this light, right? You see it all the time, but you don't pay attention to it because it's on auto. But now, like if you just look at the symbol, say like if you're driving in the rain, right? It rains a couple days after, and then the sensors still think that it's bright enough, so it doesn't turn on the headlight. It doesn't turn on your tail light, but like